Welcome to the Parenting Lab podcast. I'm your parent coach, Brittany, and I am here to guide you into the calm, clarity, and connection you're looking for as you transform your parenting from the inside out. Let's get started.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me again this week. I am so glad that you guys are here because this topic is one of my favorite things to talk about. Today, I want to talk about something that might actually bring up some feelings for you. So I want you to be prepared. When this concept comes up in coaching sessions, it often stirs up feelings that are uncomfortable. But I promise I won't leave you there in that space. Remember, we're always going to be focused on the future and how we can rewrite our own stories. This is going to be reframing on a big scale. But to do that, we're going to need to look back before we can look forward, okay? We're talking today about disappointment. Specifically, we're going to talk about the trap of disappointment and how it can shape our parenting in ways that we might not even realize. So if you've ever found yourself saying things like, "I'm so disappointed in you," or the classic, "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed," or if you felt that deep pit of unmet expectations, this is the episode for you. We are going to explore how disappointment comes from our own expectations, why it can linger longer than other emotions like anger, and how we can shift the way we communicate with our kids in a way that doesn't carry that heavy, lasting weight, the weight that you might still feel of disappointing your own parents. Let's start with a simple definition. At its core, disappointment is a feeling we experience when something doesn't go as we expected or hoped. It's rooted in our own expectations, our beliefs, and our desires. The reason disappointment feels so heavy and long-lasting is that it's tied to something personal. It's not just about the situation, it's about the hope or the dream we had of how things would unfold. And when it doesn't happen, we feel this sense of loss. There's a sense of grief involved in it on some level. Now let's contrast disappointment with anger. Anger is another powerful emotion, right? It flares up quickly, it burns hot, but it's often short-lived. After we express our anger, we usually feel a sense of relief. But disappointment is different. It has staying power. When we feel disappointed, it's not just momentary flare-ups. It lingers. It can grow, it can fester, and if we're not careful, it can turn into resentment or shame, especially when we direct it at the people we love the most, like our kids. As parents, we inevitably bring our own hopes and dreams into our relationship with our kids. Of course we do. We want them to succeed, to behave well, to be happy and healthy. We set these expectations sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously without even realizing it. And when those expectations are unmet, disappointment can creep in. This happens in big ways, like wanting our kids to go to college or have a certain kind of job. And in little ways too, like hoping that we can leave to go grocery shopping and that the chores will be done when we get home. But here's the thing about disappointment. When we say to our kids, "I'm disappointed in you," it's more than just a fleeting moment of emotion. It's a message that sticks with them. It says, "You let me down." It says, "I don't trust you to make good decisions." It implies that they are the problem. It suggests that who they are in this moment isn't enough. And this can chip away at their sense of self-worth, and it can create a divide between us as parents and them as children. It's important to recognize that our kids are still learning. They're figuring out who they are, how to navigate the world, and how to manage their own emotions. They're not perfect, and that's okay. But when we lay our disappointment on them, it doesn't provide room for growth. It just makes them feel like they failed. There was an interesting study done at Penn State back in 2001 that looked at how college students experienced parental disappointment, like having their parents be disappointed in them, right? And there's a few things in this article that I think are super worth exploring, so I want to share those with you. First, it states, and this is a quote, "The strategic use of disappointment as in I'm disappointed in you rather than I'm disappointed for you, is a means of parental control, keeping the offspring responsible for the feelings of the parent, unquote. Isn't that interesting? Disappointment makes your child feel responsible for your feelings and your expectations. It makes them feel like their behavior, right? Like them, what they're doing, that their behavior dictates your happiness and unhappiness. And that's an immense burden to place on a child. And we don't even have to come out and directly say we're disappointed either. There are a lot of phrases parents use to express disappointment. See if you've heard any of these from your parents, or maybe you've even used them with your own kids. But here's a few that may sound familiar. I thought you knew better. This isn't the example I was hoping you'd set. That's not the way we do things around here. You're not letting me down. You're letting yourself down. Or one that I heard a lot was, I expected more from you. Ugh. I still feel that. It's interesting because another thing that was brought up in this research is that it isn't just the things we say that are harmful. A lot of it's expressed through our body language. Averted eye contact, the shaking of the head, or that certain look or facial expression. You know the look I'm talking about. I still wither when my mom gives me the look. I feel a little weird when I give my kids the look, but I do. I know that I do. I want to read the experience of one of the participants of this study that was done because I related so much to it, and I wonder if maybe some of you might as well. See if this sounds or feels familiar to you. Quote, yes, my mother and father are very supportive. I would say we support one another and are very close. Of course, my mother is mostly supportive of the things she agrees I should pursue. I know when she doesn't really support my choices, when she's disappointed in me. Most of the time, she doesn't come right out and say it. I just know. I just know when she doesn't approve or is disappointed in me by her little comments, the asides, the digs, the way she looks. I'm 6 years old all over again when I get that look. Her expectations are very important to me, and I don't want to disappoint her. As a matter of fact, her expectations have become mine. Unquote. Oh, man. I really felt that. I have really great parents, but I still carry the burden of being a disappointment to them. And when I look back on my life, so many of my choices were made because I wanted to avoid disappointing them, not because they were the best decisions for me. I honestly think that them being mad at me might have felt better because no one stays mad forever. But dang it, I will spend my whole life trying to gain their approval and make up for the times that I did disappoint them. It's funny because we can laugh at the times my parents were mad now, but we don't talk about the things that disappointed them. There's still too much shame involved in those memories. Maybe I'm the only one, but I think this is more common than we think. That's why this concept can bring up so many challenging feelings for my coaching clients, and maybe for you too. Maybe you're feeling that little tug on your heart that's reminding you of the things that you did that didn't measure up. I want to bring up this perspective, this one of looking back on our own internalized feelings of being a disappointment, so that we can really understand the impact that this is having on our kids, because it stays with them, just like it has stayed with us. So let's come back around to our own parenting and what this looks like for us now. At the root of disappointment is expectation. We expect certain behaviors, responses, or outcomes, and when those expectations aren't met, we feel let down. But here's the key. Expectations are not universal truths. They are projections of our own desires and beliefs. And while it's natural to have them, of course, we need to be mindful of how rigid or unrealistic those expectations might be. Let's say, for example, that you expect your child to always speak respectfully when they're frustrated, but in the heat of the moment, they lash out. The disappointment that follows comes from your expectation that they should know better or handle their emotions more maturely. But are they ready for that? And maybe, more importantly, is it even reasonable to expect perfection in that moment? Our expectations can create unnecessary pressure, not just on our kids, but on us as well. And when we place too much of our self-worth on whether our kids are meeting our expectations, we set ourselves up for a cycle of constant disappointment. So how do we avoid falling into this trap of disappointment? How can we shift our mindset and our communication so that it's more supportive and understanding for both us and our kids? I've come up with 5 things that might help. They're not steps as much as strategies, and each one of them will require practice and intention, but here they are. I encourage you to try one or maybe a different combination of them to see what might work for you. But let's go through these and see what you think. Number 1, focus on the behavior, not the person. So instead of saying, "I'm so disappointed in you," try focusing on the behavior instead. For example, instead of saying, "You didn't finish your homework, I'm really disappointed," you might say, "It's frustrating that your homework didn't get done. What do you think happened?" This approach separates the behavior from who they are, from their identity. It says, "I don't really like what happened," but it also doesn't imply that they are a disappointment. Number 2, validate feelings, both yours and theirs. Kids are still learning how to process their emotions, and sometimes they react out of frustration, fear, stress. My guess is you're still learning too, and sometimes react in that same way also. Instead of projecting disappointment, try validating how they're feeling. "I can see that you're really upset right now," or "It looks like you're having a hard time with this." This opens the door for conversation and connection rather than putting up a wall of disappointment. And honestly, this goes for you too. You have feelings here also, so name it. There's a phrase from Dr. Daniel Siegel, "Name it to tame it." Don't just default to disappointment as a form of constraint. Holding back your true emotions and labeling them as disappointment, as some kind of a favor to your kids, is so much more harmful. If you're mad, claim it and work through it. If you're experiencing fear, tell your kids that. If you're feeling frustrated, insecure, hurt, overwhelmed, unhappy, all of those emotions are okay. And it is okay to tell your kids that you're having those feelings. Now, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have permission to act on those feelings, right? Like, just because you're feeling angry doesn't mean that you can treat them in angry ways or in any sort of mean way. I don't want you to misunderstand that. What we're doing here is validating. We're recognizing things for what they are so we can process through them and move forward. When we do this for ourselves, it sounds something like, you can say to yourself, "It's okay to feel angry. My feelings are valid." Or, "I'm allowed to feel this way. This emotion is a natural response." Okay? So really think about that. I want you to really think about what your emotion truly, truly is and feel through that. Don't just say you're disappointed because you're afraid to tell your kids that you're mad. Being mad doesn't hurt, okay? It doesn't have to, at least. Number 3, and this one is related to number 2, express your feelings without judgment. Instead of attaching your feelings of disappointment to your child, express your emotions in a way that doesn't blame them. This sounds like, "I'm feeling disappointed because I had hoped we could go through this together." Or, "I feel frustrated when things don't go according to plan." This way you're taking ownership of your feelings and your expectations without making your child feel responsible for them. And as a bonus tip on this one, please feel free to express your expectations out loud. Our kids, even our partners, they're not mind readers. I talked to a mom once that was saying that she was disappointed every Mother's Day because nothing ever happened how she envisioned it. When I asked her if she had told her husband and kids how she wanted the day to go, she said, "Of course not. Like, I wanted them to know what to do and to do it on their own." Well, yeah, of course she's going to be disappointed, but we can't meet invisible expectations. Say what you want so that your family at least has a fighting chance of living up to it. The expectations that are known are so much easier to live up to than the ones that you're holding in your head. Number 4, reframe your expectations. Take a step back and consider whether your expectations are even realistic for the developmental stage your child is in. Are you expecting them to behave like an adult, or are you allowing room for mistakes and growth? Reframing our expectations doesn't mean lowering our standards. It means aligning them with our child's abilities and age. I'm going to say that again because I think it's so important. Reframing our expectations doesn't mean lowering our standards. It means aligning them with our child's abilities and age. Even through the teenage years, children need so much support to manage their behaviors. So consider the areas that you might offer more support instead of less. I think we also have to make sure that our expectations aren't only self-serving. Are you expecting things of your children that are in their best interest or yours? And the last one is number 5, offer solutions and support. Rather than staying stuck in the disappointment, try to shift toward problem solving. Ask your child, what can we do differently next time? Or how can I help you with this? This shows that you're not just focusing on the failure or the behavior that is challenging you, but on how to move forward and learn from the experience. And that is something that teaches resilience and emotional maturity and a whole countless slew of other important skills. Disappointment is a natural part of life. It's something we all feel, and it is a valid emotion. But as parents, we have this opportunity to transform how we handle that emotion, not just for ourselves, but for our kids. Instead of allowing disappointment to become a trap, we can use it as a chance to look inward, adjust our expectations, and communicate more effectively. Disappointment is simply the gap between expectations and reality. And if we can close that gap, guys, that is where the transformation happens. Please remember that your child's worth is not defined by their mistakes, and neither is yours. If you still carry the weight of meeting your parents' expectations or the shame of disappointing them in the past, I see you, and I hope that you can give yourself permission to release it. If this is a pattern that you find yourself in with your kids, using disappointment as a way to guilt them, shame them, or coerce them into behaving how you want them to, I hope you're able to recognize the effects of that and can find new ways of expressing your emotions. When we're able to shift how we approach disappointment, we can create space where growth and understanding and connection can thrive. That is all I have for you today. If this resonated with you, please share it with other parents who might benefit. And as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has your experience been with disappointment in your parenting? And how have you navigated through those tough moments? Drop me a comment or email me at theparentinglab101@gmail.com, and I'd love to continue the conversation with you. Otherwise, I'll see you here next week, where we explore the art and science of parenting and put your parenting to the test.
Thank you for listening to the Parenting Lab podcast. For our complete catalog of online courses, free resources, or to join our mailing list, please visit theparentinglab.org. See you next time.